I hope everybody is fine and healthy. I hope my previous two videos on the circulatory system have simplified it for you and you have a better understanding on it. Now let us discuss the human heart. As you can see, this is the detailed view of the human heart, and these black colored labelings are the various parts, and this blue color is for the respective functions that they perform. So let us look at the right side. As you're already familiar, right side of the human heart is concerned with the deoxygenated blood. Hence, it is outlined with the blue color, and left side of the human heart is concerned with the oxygenated blood, and hence it is colored with the red color. So let's look at the right side first. As you can see, this is superior vena cava, and here at the base or at the bottom is inferior vena cava. So superior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood from upper parts of the body. Superior means upper, and vena cava, we know deoxygenated blood it brings. So it brings, superior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body to the right upper chamber. Now the right upper chamber is right atrium or auricle. Likewise, inferior vena cava brings deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood from lower parts of the body again to the upper right chamber, which is right atrium or auricle. Now from here it moves down to the right ventricle, that is a corresponding lower chamber. Now as you can see, there is a valve present here. This valve, as you're already familiar in my previous videos, it's tricuspid valve, right? Now this regulates the movement of deoxygenated blood from the right atrium or auricle to the or towards the right ventricle, so that it does not flow back again into the right atrium or auricle. It has only one way ahead. So atrium towards ventricle, deoxygenated blood. Now from right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood has to go to the lungs for becoming oxygen rich or oxygenated. So here it goes through this is pulmonary artery. Now this pulmonary artery originates from the right ventricle, and it carries the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle towards the heart. As you can see, right ventricle, deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs for oxygenation, for making it oxygen rich. Again, we have a valve here. So in circulatory system, we need to be very careful whenever the blood is moving from one part and coming to another part, like here from right ventricle to pulmonary artery. Its flow is always monitored or guarded by valve-like structures. Now this valve, because it is present in pulmonary artery, is the pulmonary valve. So it guards the movement of carbon dioxide rich blood from right ventricle entering into the pulmonary artery and going to the lungs for oxygenation. So this was the right side. Now let's have a look at the left side. As you can see, left side, now after becoming oxygenated or oxygen rich at the lungs, the blood, oxygenated blood from the lungs returns to the left side of the heart, where left upper chamber, that is left atrium or auricle. As you can see in the structure, the atrium, they're thin walled. If you look at the structure, the atrium or the upper chambers are comparatively smaller in size and they are thin walled. Whereas the ventricles, the corresponding lower chambers on either side of the heart, they are bigger in size and they are thick walled here. So that is a structural difference. Now why are they thin walled? Because they are receiving chambers. They are only receiving the blood, whether it's deoxygenated or oxygenated here, and they have to pour it down to the corresponding lower chambers. That is why they are thin walled, because they are receiving chambers. Now the left atrium and auricle has received the oxygenated blood from the lungs coming through the pulmonary veins. So these pulmonary veins, the total 4 pulmonary veins entering on the left upper side of the heart, which is the upper left chamber, atrium or auricle. Now this oxygenated blood has to move down to the corresponding lower chamber, that is left ventricle. Now these left ventricle, of course, they're thick. They have thick muscular walls. Now why are they large and why are they why do they have thick muscular walls? Is because these are pumping chambers. Either they have to pump the oxygenated blood through the aorta to whole part of the body, or they have to pump the deoxygenated blood, that is from the right ventricle, so that it can go to the lungs for oxygenation. So they have this pumping function. Hence, they need to have thick walls so that they can withstand or tolerate the greater pressure. Here. Now, blood from the left ventricle, it goes to it enters the aorta, which is the largest artery, and you can see it further branches. This oxygenated blood or oxygen-rich blood from the left ventricle to all parts of the body. So aorta, it transports the oxygenated or oxygen-rich blood from left ventricle to all the parts of the body. Now again, from the left ventricle, when the oxygenated blood enters the aorta, again it has a valve. Now because this valve controls the movement of oxygenated blood from the left ventricle and the aorta, it's guarding the movement so that there is no backflow of the blood, and since it's present in aorta, for that reason it is known as aortic valve. So the valve that is present in the aorta, that is aortic valve. So the blood, oxygen-rich blood from left ventricle to the aorta and then to all parts of the body because it is oxygenated. So this was the overall view. As you can see, the left side and the right side, they are divided by a division that is known as septum. So the division between left and right side, right? Now another thing, whenever the blood is being received, these chambers expand, and when the blood has to go down, these auricle or atrium will contract and will push the blood down. Likewise, when the ventricles are receiving the blood, they will expand, and when they have to push the blood either to the pulmonary artery on the right or on the left side to the aorta, they have to contract. So this rhythmic contraction and expansion, contraction and expansion, it causes the blood to flow from one chamber to another chamber and go to the respective destinations depending upon the nature of the blood, whether it is deoxygenated or it is oxygenated. But you need to also remember that these two processes on the left and the right side, they are not happening in isolation. Rather, they are happening simultaneously. I have explained it in two parts so that you can understand it better. So, at the same time, when the deoxygenated blood from the superior vena cava and then inferior vena cava is coming on the right upper chamber, which is right atrium or auricle, at the same time only simultaneously, the oxygenated blood coming from the lungs through pulmonary veins is also entering the left upper chamber, which is left atrium or auricle. And similarly, simultaneously, they are moving down to the corresponding respective lower chambers. And then, of course, different destinations, pulmonary artery for deoxygenated blood and aorta for oxygenated blood to be transported to different parts of the body. So this is happening simultaneously. So this was the structure of heart with the different parts and the respective functions. So I hope now the heart or the structure of the heart with the respective organs, parts and the functions are clear to you. Thank you.